Welcome, everyone, to Tea with G. So good to be here with you all. I chose the subject of mindfulness today, well, because it's important. And, it's another word that is borrowed from the ancient practice of meditation that has gotten a bit westernized, which means it's gotten a bit diluted and doesn't have the same kind of significance and deep meaning that it originally did. So what I'm going to ask you to do is let's experience it rather than talk about it. And hold on a second. So you can close your eyes or not close your eyes. It really is up to you. It's not important one way or the other. Matter of fact, a lot of the mindfulness practice, they meditate with their eyes only half shut. Like you'll often see images of the Buddha with the eyes half shut. And the simple technique is to just bring your attention. You start with your body. So you just bring your attention to your breathing. Don't try to do anything to it. Don't try to change it. But just give it as much attention as you possibly can. Just notice the coolness in your nose and in your nostrils as you breathe in. You can even kind of feel that coolness in the back of your throat. If the air is really cool, you'll feel it all the way down into your lungs. And notice that your belly expands, because that's the actual muscle that is working the lungs. They don't have any muscles, which causes them to expand, which creates a vacuum, which then is which draws the air into it. And then you just breathe out. And you feel exactly the opposite motion. And there's the warmth in the nostrils. There's the warmth at the back of the throat. You feel the chest begin to contract. Now, the mission here is simply to become increasingly observant of what is actually here and now. The mind begins to become focused. Well, at least the attention does. And I use the word attention here as opposed to mind. Because I often use mind just to simply refer to those habitual patterns of thought, that ongoing cascade of thoughts that we all experience, that we get engaged with. Today, we're not inviting them to tea. They're not invited, but they don't have any pride, so they'll often be party crashers. They're going to want to crash the tea party by just being intrusive. And you will find yourself being drawn away into the mind, into whatever's coming up. The moment you catch yourself, just bring yourself back to watching your breath, feeling the body. It's such an important anchor point. So even when I'm not talking, keep your attention there. When you do a formal meditation practice, you'll go for 30 to 45 minutes of just sitting in absolute silence. And then in longer, like a sesshin, like a longer retreat, after that, there will be like 10 or 15 minutes of walking meditation. Still in silence. No instruction. And when you do this, you'll find that all sorts of things will start coming to the surface. First, what comes to the surface is that activity of the mind. All of the cascading thoughts. Everything from, gee, I wonder what's for dinner. Oh, I left the light on in the bathroom. My feet are cold. They is so total non sequiturs. See, our objective here is not to quiet the mind, but to lose interest in it. To not control the mind, but to gain, you might say, control over attention, where your attention is going. And right now, you simply make the choice, set the intention to keep attention on your breath. And you can widen that a little bit and just notice, as the attention's on the breath, notice all the rest of the feelings going through your body. And you can feel it. You can feel every breath. You can almost feel the cells drinking in the breath, the air, the oxygen that's being delivered to them from the lungs through the blood, that they need a constant supply of, all 100 trillion of them. Believe it or not, this is the entire practice, at least the beginning practice of mindfulness. You'll find that if you do practice this as a regular meditation, I really recommend every morning and every evening for at least 15 minutes. And then you'll notice that it'll begin to creep into other parts of your life. You may find yourself doing the dishes and suddenly aware of your breath as you're doing the dishes, or as you're driving. You recognize that you can actually be doing things, engaged in all worldly activities, and aware of the breath at the same time. Aware of your body at the same time. Because it's only our habit energies of our minds, where we think somehow that our meditation practice or spiritual practice or devotional practice and our everyday dealings are somehow separated. They're not. And you notice how it'll expand, even doing intellectual work. And we live in a time that's, with the internet and online stuff, there's an enormous amount of activity where our minds are really engaged. But even then, there can be this sense of it's all functioning together. Let's just stop breathing for a while and see how quickly your attention goes back to it. It's all sustained by this breath. That's why it's always been regarded so highly in all meditation practices and as the key to mindfulness or one-pointedness. It's even regarded as sacred, spiritus or pneuma, spiritus sacratus, which is the sacred breath or the Holy Spirit. It's always been associated with this fundamentalness of life. I heard one person say, I made up my mind one day to only focus on the most important things of my life. And so I put all my attention on my breath. Now, as we've been doing this together, I want you to notice how your body is feeling. All stress, if I can be this absolute about it, all stress is attention moving away from this moment out into the future or into the past. Anticipation or memory. In the moment, and right here and now, there is no stress. And as our attention becomes more focused here, you'll notice how stress, tension begins to just kind of seep out of the body. There can be some residual there, some habitual there, but and that's okay. As it deepens, that too will relax. So take another breath, and if you have your eyes closed or half closed, you can open them again. This is all there is to mindfulness. Now, yes, it expands. You can be mindful as you eat, mindful as you're drinking, no matter what you're doing. Even if it's a bad habit, a habit you'd like to get rid of, like smoking. It too, all addictions depend on an absence of mindfulness. If you, I once did this nutrition kind of program that was put on by a friend of mine called Wild Fit. And the first couple of weeks was simply eating all the crap food, whatever it is you like to eat, or you normally eat, even if it's crap food, but paying really close attention to how you felt when you were eating it. We don't normally do that. We normally just eat. And actually, for most people, because we get so distracted, after 2 or 3 bites of the food, you don't taste it anymore. It's just mechanical. And it clicks into almost emotional eating. But if you really focus your attention, you take a bite of something, what does that feel like? I noticed that when I eat something that's sweet, a lot of sugar in it, almost within seconds, my hands start to feel a little clammy. I notice the effect that sugar has on, and I eat very little of it now. And as I cut all the sugar, part of this program, you cut all sorts of things out of this. Very, very, you're eating a lot of stuff, no sweets, no sugar, nothing. That's the whole body reset. And it was amazing to find that I could bite into a lemon and it was sweet. I could bite into a grapefruit. I could bite these things that were really bitter, and it became, I could sense the sugars that are in there, because there's sugars even in a lemon, and there's sugars in everything, but natural sugars anyway. But it's simply a matter of becoming more and more aware. As Swan Song, the Zen master, used to say, when you're eating, just eat. When you're driving, just drive. When you're reading, just read. It really is a discipline, especially in our modern world, to be able to do that. To be willing to even try to do that. And you'll notice how hard it is. But remember, this isn't a race. It's all a matter of regaining the mastery over your own attention. And I also read a study about genius, what makes a genius. And they had all sorts of different theories. The only thing they could find that was consistent amongst everyone who was regarded as a genius, it wasn't the level of intelligence, it wasn't the level of creativity, it wasn't the level of hard work or discipline or physical skill or any of that. The one thing they said that was consistent was that all that people regarded as geniuses had a capacity to focus on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. And isn't that interesting? Mindfulness. That's how powerful it is. You want to awaken a genius inside of you. Learn to focus attention. Practice focusing attention, because that's the key.